Hey, Mortgage Coach community, Dave Savage, and today I am sitting down with Michael Kuentz, president of LendersOne, and we're going to learn a lot about what both lenders and loan officers can do to improve profitability and to deal with, the challenging market that we have from a compression standpoint. So Michael, why don't we kick things off with you just telling everybody a little bit about yourself and a little bit about LendersOne, and then we'll get into some big ideas.
That's great, Dave, and thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be a part of this today. First of all, my name is Michael Kuentz. I am the president of LendersOne. Been with the organization now a little over 2 years. I've been in the financial services industry for a long, long time, and excited to have taken over at the helm of LendersOne. And we've been on a journey over the last really 2+ years of redefining who the cooperative is and really what is our mission within the industry. And, we've got roughly about 230 some odd members in our organization, some of the best independent mortgage bankers in all of the country. And on top of that, we've got some of the best preferred partners in the country, like yourself, Dave. So we're excited to have partnerships and members come together in that strong cooperative environment. Some of the things we're hearing, certainly margin compression is number one. And I really don't see that going away anytime soon. But it's really, what do we do about it? And some of the things that we're trying to bring to our members is more active dialogue around really getting into their P&Ls, digging in and understanding where they can find some of those operational efficiencies and those cost savings. But we're also hearing about the new entrants. And this is where the loan officer community really needs to be on point. And that is the folks like Amazon that are being disruptive out in the marketplace. That's real. It's happening. But as you and I both know, it's never going to replace the relationships and the strong presence that the LOs have out in the community. We continually see consolidation out in the marketplace. So that's going to be real. I don't see that slowing. So differentiation, how companies are thinking different about their go-to-market, how they're training their LOs differently, how they're, creating customers for life is a critical thing. And then investment. I think they can't stop investing just because times are lean. We've got to be able to think about new and differentiated strategies really to position our members for success in the future.
So Michael, let's take this from a couple different directions, because, when you mentioned 230, that's lenders. So that's, the C-suite, the head of production, everybody that really runs the organization. And with each of those 230, organizations, there's lots of branch managers and there's lots of loan officers.
Yeah.
But for you and I right now, I think let's try to focus on C-suite and branch managers.
Yep.
Like, what could they do? What should they do? And to drive cost out. Obviously technology is a big piece of it. So maybe we focus on technology, but what are some of the, tactics, strategies, focus?
Yep.
And I don't care whether you answer it for executive or whether you answer it for BM, branch manager, but what are some of the tactics and strategies you're seeing to improve profitability and to deal with this compression market?
Yeah, so where we're telling our members that they need to focus and improve is really, when you think about hidden costs, how can they start to look at processes and ways in which they can streamline those processes? That's number one. Another big one is consolidating vendors. There's a lot of noise out in the vendor community, and we really want to make a recommendation for how do you create a more consolidated vendor list of the folks that you need to have on your network that you're going to utilize and go to market with every day. I think also they got to think differently about the home buyer. Who is the home buyer that they are now serving? How do they create better customer experiences internally? How do they capture kind of the elusive millennial buyer that's out there? And that comes through a lot of test and learn type strategies. Focus on ways to really recapture repeat business. Focus on ways to streamline process. And a lot of that comes then with technology. And if you don't have a digital strategy in place right now that you're already beginning to execute on, then you're probably behind. And so, Dave, I know you focus on the front end, and what we're doing inside of the cooperative is also doing that, but we're putting a lot of focus around the back end. So things like e-closing, right? It's been a concept that's been out in the marketplace for years, and now we're starting to see the industry turn more towards the ability to e-close a loan. Now, hybrid's probably the more popular opportunity, but over time, we're going to start to see aggregators that are ready to buy these loans. And through that gives loan officers a competitive advantage out in the marketplace too, to be able to offer up the ability for a better consumer experience. So that back-end e-closing, we believe, is top of mind and something that we see a lot of investment going forward. And then pair that up with the right CRMs, point of sale systems, and technologies and training, and we believe you're going to create a better overall customer experience that the loan officer can provide to its customer population.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, in our lead conversion playbook, which, by the way, I'm going to put a link to that down below if you're watching this. Down below, what we call the lead conversion playbook. I mean, there's a lot of technologies. When you see the C-suite tech stack, I mean, it's a lot of tech to drive a profitable organization. But at the front end, for all you branch managers listening to this, your CRM, you've got to use it daily. You've got to create a culture where everybody's using it daily. Point of sale solutions that help make the application process more profitable, more streamlined. And then, mortgage code total cost analysis. If you really master those three technologies, it's really amazing what you can do. Again, there's more. I don't want to, bake the cake, reputation management. There's so many things you need to do. But Michael, let's do this. Let's flash forward, 2-3 years from now. What do you think is going to be different? Like, if you had a crystal ball right now and you could say, okay, mortgage business, 2020, 2021, what's different?
Yeah, I think that, the technology landscape will be a lot different. I think we've got concepts in place now, but I think what you are going to see is what's been a bit of a driving force, the rocket mortgages of the world, I think are going to become more of a mainstream just in how we do business. But I still don't believe firmly that it's going to replace the relationships that have been built out in the marketplace with strong loan officer communities. I believe that they are going to have to change their game, no question. They're going to have to, embrace the technology that's out there. They're going to have to embrace the fact that these tools that are being provided to the marketplace are going to become more mainstream. I think you're going to see a digital experience that is going to make customers' lives much more convenient. But the relationship component will not ever go away. So I see more adoption, I see more investment in technology, and I see more competition, but I don't see relationships that LOs have built with realtors and consumers to ever go away. Yeah, no, I totally agree. And a quote I love, and it's a key concept, one of 3 key concepts in the lead conversion playbook, is that technology is not going to eliminate loan officers, but loan officers who master and leverage technology are going to crush loan officers who don't. And so I kind of believe that you flash forward, let's just say 2020. I think it's a race to 2020. Every lender has this, pretty solid tech stack, and they've done a better job of getting those things to integrate so that the loan officer gets this great workflow experience. And then it integrates on the front end for the consumer so that, to your point, millennial buyers, they want to self-educate. So much of that, call it tip of the spear, needs to be, how to use social, how do you deliver rates and fees with a mortgage coach total cost analysis so that you educate. So you align with those thoughts? I completely align. And there's a point at which, and this is where I believe the loan officer community will continue to have a competitive advantage. These are thought leaders. These are experts in the industry. And even just like how we've gone to buy cars as of late, where we go online or we begin to buy houses, there still comes a point at which I'm going to need somebody who understands this process. I can pick up the phone. They're a trusted steward. They're a trusted advisor, and they're going to guide me, the home buyer, the consumer, down the right path. Even though I want to do it all in an automated fashion, there eventually comes that point where I want to speak with somebody who's knowledgeable about the process, and that I can also, as a consumer, build a lifelong relationship for my next transaction. I think that's an important component as well. Yeah, there's no doubt.
totally aligned. By the way, I'm sure I'm going to interview Michael again. So if you have questions, put them down below. If you like the interview and it's valuable to you, give us a like, share it with your mortgage friends. So we agree on three things. If you want to Amazon proof if you're an individual loan officer, your mortgage practice. If you're a C-suite executive and you want to Amazon proof your mortgage, you got to have technology. But then you also need to really train your staff and build a team that personally connects. It's all about upgrade your communication skills with tech. So let's close out with this thing. So we're in a market where most loan officers, I hear some studies say it's over 50. I hear some say it's over 45, but whatever. It's not millennial. Most realtors are kind of in the same age bracket. What does the C-suite need to be doing? What do executive teams need to be doing to create a culture of change? So that their loan officers are adopting their technology, and I like to call it they've made the digital transformation. What's the advice you give to your members, to the executive team, to make that digital transformation change?
Yeah, it's I heard from a most recent roundtable that we hosted in Denver, and some of the feedback we got is, well, shoot, if I'm going to try to go after the millennial buyer, I probably ought to start thinking about hiring millennials. So I better understand how I market effectively to them. But as I'm hiring millennials, maybe they fit the kind of the DNA of what I'm looking for out of some of the top producers in the world. Maybe they didn't come from the mortgage market, but they fit the mold of somebody who could be a great loan officer one day. And so starting to tap into that millennial generation, not just from how we go to market and try to sell them a mortgage, but ultimately hiring those types of folks, because it'll create a better go-to-market plan as we go out. So I think acquiring talent that may not necessarily fit the traditional average age 54-year-old LO that's seasoned and knows the business, but maybe we start to think about new hiring practices around folks that didn't necessarily wake up one day and say, I want to go into the mortgage business, but they found their way into it. And I think what you've got there is a real opportunity to groom the next generation of talented loan officers, and doing it to where you've got a culture that you've put in place, and ultimately a way in which you can grow and develop those folks to be some of the next generation of great loan officers.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely seeing a trend of new, acceleration of not only new loan officers entering the business, but new loan officers really being quite successful. I mean, I've interviewed a number of millennials that are killing it. By the way, I have in the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, we have a new loan officer playlist. I'm going to put a link down below, which is, a compilation of some of the interviews I've done that I think if, I had my son or my daughter getting into the mortgage business, I'd watch these 10 videos. It starts off with my interview with Simon Sinek and his advice to mortgage advisors. So it starts off with this why, and this really high level connection. So by the way, if you are an executive and you have a new loan officer strategy, check that out. And I agree, but what else? What are you seeing as the top trends to get, our top producers that don't use their mobile phones? They're not high tech. They're like, I hate technology. I've got a couple ideas, but what are some other ideas to get them to make the digital transition?
Yeah, I think, there always has to be, you've got to show proof in the pudding to some of these folks, right? So being able to bring real world examples to them, and then training. I think training is going to continue to be something that companies have to invest in, continue to put back into those LOs so that they feel like they're a part of the strategy of your organization, but you're investing back into them. And I think over time, as you train and as you acclimate, I think you're going to start to see more adoption so that they can turn that corner into the digital world, because it's real. It's here. It's now. Not to say that there's not going to be still the handshake that happens and some of the manual processes, but the bottom line is we're moving into that age, and we've got to be able to adopt, or we could, you could be compromised. And I think you said it best. Those that are utilizing technology could eventually grab market share for those that are not. So I think, having an open mind, training your individuals, getting them to be a part of the vetting process even of some of the new technologies so that they feel like their voice is heard and active throughout that process, I think will also bring more and greater adoption with more market share gain with those LOs.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, our playbook is kind of twofold. C-suite, you need to automate some of these, call it modern mortgage strategies, like, a best practice, and I think everybody needs to do it, is you need to be getting the maximum loans from your past customer database. Yeah. So doing things like automating an annual review or a trigger alert so that family is getting that, that digital total cost analysis. The C-suite automated it. By the way, there's a lot of, there's a number of CRMs, there's a number of ways that you can automate that. And then the other thing, I think people need to create a culture, like the digital transition culture, and community within your community. So at Mortgage Coach, the reason I do interviews like this is to create change with the entire Mortgage Coach community. But then for the lenders that we have partnerships with, you've got to create a community within a community where you've got top producers that you're showcasing that have made the digital transition, and you're story selling. You're packaging those stories inspirationally, tactically, and to your point, you train better. I think when we flash forward 2 and 3 years from now, everybody has a digital tech stack, and the lenders that are killing it, the most profitable, are the ones that have executed on the whole training piece. They've got 90% of their sales force digitally transitioned. They're using their mobile app, they're using Mortgage Coach, they're using their CRM, and the ones that are lagging, they haven't been successful at that. I don't know.
Totally agree, Dave. And so, we think about it, it's really a 3-step process. It's when you're out there acquiring new talent, what's the acquisition strategy of new talent? But the acclimation piece to the culture that you just described is so critical. How do you get the buy-in for that new employee, the technologies you're going to institute? And then comes the retention, the growth, development, and retention. And I think, all three are so critical to making sure you've got somebody who's bought in to your strategy and then is going to go out and execute that in the marketplace on behalf of your brand. So couldn't agree more.
Well, I love it. So, hey, you've got a big event coming up. And if you're watching this and you are part of the LendersOne community, the LendersOne network, there's no better than just getting face-to-face. I mean, even when I look at the lenders that have been the most successful at making that digital transition, they are lenders where they get their sales force together in the real world, and they make it a priority, and they talk about it. They do webinars effectively. And by the way, loan officers actually show up to them. So for any lenders that are watching this and no one shows up to your training events, trust me, there are lenders that people do show up to training events. And so you've got that big event coming in. It's just a great opportunity for, to get together, mastermind, and upgrade. When is that event again? Where is that event? And just give us a heads up on it.
August 5th through 8th, Salt Lake City. And again, our theme this year is disrupt, because we are in a market that is in a disruptive state, and you're either the disruptor or you're being disrupted. And so we're bringing some amazing keynote speakers to the stage. We've got tremendous education sessions that are not just about what's going on right now, but the future of mortgage too. And then, our peer networking, Dave, continues to be one of the biggest things that we get such accolades around, the opportunity for peers to come together, share those best practices, talk about the great things that Mortgage Coach is bringing to the marketplace, and why they should be utilizing it also to boost their LO productivity. And then, of course, our connection hall, the ability for our members and our preferred provider partners to come together and not meet for the sake of meeting, but have quality, very deep and rich conversations around how they can advance opportunities forward. And so we're excited to do that for you all at Mortgage Coach, certainly coming up. And we're excited to have all of our members there. So registration closes July 13th, next Friday. So please get out there and get registered if you're a LendersOne member and or preferred provider.
All right, I'll put a link down below. Sign up, and I just can't emphasize enough. I mean, I look at my career, and everything that's good that's come from it has been from going to events, masterminding with peers and top producers, and leaders in the industry, and then making lifelong relationships that really generate value. So look forward to seeing you, my brother, and thank you for the time on this call. By the way, if you got value, everybody, give us a like, share this with any mortgage friends that you think would get value from it. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Dave. Take care.